Fans lone win, 5-2, second round of the German Masters 2023. So off we go. 9 frames this evening, the rest tomorrow evening.
Oh, what a start from Zhengyi. Rifled in that long red. And he's finished nicely on the yellow. This is worth another look. How about that for the first shot of the match? Making his third appearance here at the Crucible. Hasn't won a match here yet. Can he do so against one of the game's greats in Shaun Murphy?
When that red was rifled in, just wonder whether Murphy thought, here we go again. He is convinced, he said this repeatedly, that this season he's come up against some inspirational opponents who've played brilliant snooker against him. Now that might well be the case, and I think in many instances it is. But also it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I think that's true, but Shaun needs to realise, you know, being such a great player, that when he's playing other players, they're going to raise their game against him. It was always the case. Whenever you play Stephen Hendry or Steve Davis, it was a privilege to play them. And it tended to bring the best out of you in many cases. I'm reminded of the match that Shaun played at the Welsh Open against Chan Bing-yu, made 4 centuries against Shaun, who only potted one single lone red in the whole of the match.
12.
Just misjudged the cannon off the pack of reds for the black there. You can still pot the black, but is the red that he can play for? Does the red net to the pink pot? Black's just gone in, but what's he on?
These pockets are not easy, but if they're going to fall in off a jaw, it will be the far rather than the near.
Zhengyi, 19.
Yeah, the match you're talking about, Tom. Murphy's first match in the Welsh Open, it was the last 64. Chan Bing-yu beat him 4-0. Breaks of 130, 136, 119 and 130 again, outscoring Murphy 524 points to 1. Now that's what you call a hammering. You might say Murphy was lucky to get 0.
Zhengyi's safety will have to be good, because Shaun can be a devastating long potter when his confidence is high, and it usually is. He's a very confident player, Shaun, and that's not the sort of mistake that Zhengyi can afford to make this evening, but he may have been rather fortunate there. Shaun Murphy making his 24th appearance at the Crucible Theatre. Incredible. Lost to Judd Trump last year in round 2, 13-10. A very close match.
He's a supreme human. Stylist.
Green ball.
Little clumsy there, though.
4.
Yes, it'll take a few shots just to work out the pace of the cushion rails, and Shaun has just overrun run the cue ball there by, well, if I'm honest, probably 18 or 20 inches. Play for a red just at the back of the pack into the left corner. Could still cut it in, but such a thin cut now, it's risky. I certainly don't blame him for playing a safety shot, and it's a good one.
You never say Murphy was a devastating tactical brain, but I think over the last 5 years or so, that part of his game has improved.
It was always said of Shaun that whenever you were given opportunities when he played him, they were always really good opportunities. And I think that's probably true, if I'm honest. I played Shaun, I think about 13 or 14 times over the years. And he's a player I've always loved to play because he's such an aggressive player, Shaun. Not just that you play with him, it tends to be rather open affairs. Another good red, but this time short of pace for the brown.
Yellow ball. Shaun Murphy 1.
If the Reds were tightly packed here, this would not be as much of a snag as it might well be. Making contact, of course, no problem, but it's the safety aspect that's the key to it.
Foul and a miss. Shaun Murphy 4.
Back the cue ball goes. Officiator tonight is Tatiana Wollaston, whose husband Ben Wollaston is a tour professional, very capable player. Didn't make it through qualifying on this occasion. Yeah, this is tough for Zhengyi because he's facing away from the Reds. They're behind him, so he can't really see them in his eye line, of course. And he's missed them again.
Foul and a miss. Shaun Murphy 4. Shaun, thank you. Foul and a miss. Shaun Murphy 4.
12 penalties given away. And maybe more to come.
Shaun.
Well, this looks a bit of a better line. Definitely a better line, but how's the pace? Oh, goodness me. Fractions away.
Murphy happy to sit there and just see the points accumulate.
Foul and a miss. Shaun Murphy 4.
Well, it's a little like the key to good bowling, this, in cricket. It's all about line and length. The line was right, the length wasn't.
Well, my initial observation is, though, that the bed of the table isn't playing particularly quickly, and I noticed this yesterday evening, actually. It was just a little on the slow side for such a brand new cloth. But he's got it right this time. Well played.
And in the end, you know, it wasn't a bad trade-off, that. Leaving the table, having not given Murphy an obvious chance. in recent years, Fan Zhengyi, one of the most surprising winners of a world ranking event, the European Masters of 2022. He beat Ronnie O'Sullivan in the final in Milton Keynes. 10-9. Held himself together brilliantly in the crunch. In the deciding frame, made a 92 break.
Superb red from Shaun,
Yellow
but
ball.
again the cue ball didn't seem to run anywhere.
Shaun Murphy 1.
Another snooker laid behind the yellow. Not as tight in behind it as he was previously. It would appear he's playing the shot the same way. But he can come off the left-hand side cushion near the centre pocket if he wishes, but the centre pocket actually could be slightly in his way. So he's coming twice across the table. Right-hand side cushion, left-hand side cushion. Once again to try and rest upon the red on this top cushion. The pace is good. And so is the line. Well played.
Twice in difficulties, twice extricating himself without any immediate damage.
That's a big mistake. One decent positional shot here, and Shaun Murphy could score heavily.
One.
Wrong side of the blue, but I don't think it should be too much of a problem.
No seed has been beaten
6.
in this year's World Championship at the Crucible. That record might be in serious jeopardy. I'll tell you why after this shot. Over on the other table, first frame of the evening complete. Stan Moody won it from 40 odd behind to lead Kyron Wilson 7-3.
Just has a touch more angle on this red than is ideal. He'll try and screw into the red to the right of the one he's playing to hold for the pink to the left centre. But he had to really nip into the cue ball there, and he's actually screwed off the red and is now forced to play the black. Something I don't think he wanted to be playing, because once the black is respotted, it'll be tied up. The two reds either side of the black spot, blocking both corners.
Twenty-one. 22.
Again, further evidence that this bedcloth is not playing particularly quickly. Shaun has finished very straight on the blue.
But when it comes to mid-distance recovery pots,
27.
he's right at the top of the league. The cue action is so authoritative.
For such a wonderful potter, Shaun uses a very small ferrule size. It's under 9mm. And that's probably because he played his whole amateur career and his early professional career with a very old cue that had a very small tip size, so he's just so accustomed to it.
35.
42 in front, so the pink and one more red needed. And as we've seen all week, this is not a gimme.
Superb pot from Shaun to win the opening frame, barring snookers, and I'm sure if he just plays a snooker in behind the brown, the concession will arrive.
Shaun Murphy, 42 and a frame.
Indeed, it does. So a loose safety from Zhengyi, seized upon by Murphy, 42 break, and that's why he draws first blood.
Shoot тебя каждый день, ищу тебя каждый день, ищу тебя каждый день. Я ищу тебя взглядом в стадии людей, ищу тебя каждый день, ищу тебя каждый день, ищу тебя каждый день. Я ищу тебя взглядом. В этом городе много развлечений, много тех, кто только по течению, много кто ни разу не зайдет в библиотеку. Тут тупые люди и острые предметы. Знаешь, они вкалывают, чтобы хоть поесть, да иначе снова в поезд, да и в степь. Там похуй здесь всем, на книги закладки, хоть джиги сказали, что во дворах что-нибудь есть, да. Тут платье воняет инстинктами, и помада со вкусом бензина, и от всей этой тусы стошнило бы, если бы не было плевать. Смотрел, как вдоль стоит маяк, тут есть офис, но где мечта? Ездят автобусы, есть толпа, но в этом городе нет тебя, ведь твоя доброта невыгодна, улыбка невежлива, твои слова не наиграны. Твои доктрины не лечатся. Похоже, я скучаю по тебе. В этом старом ноябре я искал тебя взглядом в стаде людей. Ведь ты смысл, ты карма, ты. Место, где выросли, меж серости, сырости, лишь сердце тут керосин, но быть вечно моросит. Я ищу тебя будто бы в лимбо, и все это похоже на комедию. Прохожу через ад как повинный, чтобы только тебя встретить, эй. Зрачки уменьшаются при тебе, тени исчезают при тебе, но ты улетаешь быстрее ракет, и вампиры выползают на обед. Мой Готэм нуждается в тебе. Когда же придет этой ночи конец? Обошел все туннели в воде, но тебя в моем городе нет. Твоя доброта невыгодна, улыбка невежлива, твои слова не наиграны, твои доктрины не лечатся. Похоже, я скучаю по тебе. В этом старом ноябре я искал тебя взглядом в стаде людей. Ведь ты смысл, ты карма, ты свет. Свет.
I think what happened in the first frame illustrates what Fan is all about. When he's potting balls and building breaks, he looks very dangerous. But in the defensive department, he does lack some knowledge.
And not the best break-off shot either. That cue ball's a long way off the bulk cushion. And I think Zhengyi can think himself fortunate that Shaun missed that red. He was confident he'd knock it in. Look where he left the cue ball. But fortunately for Shaun, the red he's missed has blocked the black to the left corner, which Zhengyi could easily have played for from this red.
Murphy knows all about the pitfalls of early departures from the World Championship. He's been beaten at this stage, the first round, here at the Crucible 8 times. Twice before he was World Champion, 6 since.
Your phones on silent, please.
Well, that's a good safety from Zhengyi. Although the cue ball's finished in the D, it's gone in behind the brown. I can't see an easy return to bulk here for Shaun. Just wondering if there's a possible red that he might consider trying to take on. Very nervy mistake that was. He missed the red on the way down and caught another red on the way back up. Big mistake to make. Pink and black, though, out of commission for Shaun for the time being. But can he screw back to leave an angle on the blue to go into the reds?
One.
Sure, he played for the blue, but it's okay on the yellow.
Nothing spectacular yet, but enough to indicate he's in pretty good nick.
Three. Four.
Shaun is probably astonished the cue ball's finished there. He played it with backspin and running side. But the cue ball just shot off that side cushion. But he's still okay, but he'll have to play for the black next. Can he knock it on for the corner pocket? Yes, he can. It's worked out beautifully now. Pure serendipity, that.
70.
At the age of 43, Murphy is playing just as well as ever. He's had a really productive season. Runner-up in the Xi'an Grand Prix to Mark Williams.
25.
Winner of the British Open, overcoming Anthony McGill in the final. That after beating the likes of Neil Robertson, Judd Trump and Mark Selby en route. Semi-finalist at the UK Championship. Runner-up at the German Masters.
34.
Is Dominic a serious contender?
He certainly is. But his style of play suggests to me, as it always does, that he has to be at or near his best to be effective, because he takes on so many difficult pots. You wouldn't call him a real all-rounder as you would somebody like a John Higgins or a Mark Selby, that type of player.
41.
When he won in 2005, he was dynamite from distance. Won, of course, as a qualifier. At the time, only the second qualifier to prevail here after Terry Griffiths in 1979. And boy, did he play well.
Absolutely, but he was a long way behind in that final against Matthew Stevens, eventually winning 18 frames to 16. And Terry Griffiths won as a qualifier. It was played over a longer distance in those days. He prevailed against Dennis Taylor, 24 frames to 16. Played this nicely, but the cue ball just ran through a little further than he would have liked. I wonder if he can drop the blue in dead weight and hold for red. She's straight enough on the blue to drop it in very slowly. Well, I thought for a moment he was extremely unfortunate there, but he's okay. This black is frame ball for a 2-0 lead in next to no time. Frame in progress, just over 9 minutes.
He did not strike that one well. Surprised it went in, actually, off that near jaw at that pace. So a little more work to be done. Now the only question, can Murphy go on to make what would be the 20th century already at the Crucible this year? Well, there's the answer. No, he can't. But a break of 78 allows Shaun Murphy to win the second frame in one visit.
So we're at frame 3 here in this first round encounter between Shaun Murphy and Fan Zhengyi. Shaun Murphy already 2-0 ahead.
Well, that did not bode well. The red wasn't in the same postcode as the pocket there. Caught it far too thick.
Yes, he almost decelerated there as he struck the cue ball. And that as a player would really worry you. There are lots of signs already that Fan Zhengyi is very tense.
1.
And why wouldn't you be playing somebody like Shaun Murphy in fine form? Now, if Shaun's dead straight on this pink, he can run through for the red above the black in such a way as to be able to cannon that red away from the black and bring it into play. But he obviously wasn't straight enough on it, but that's the shot he'll be looking to play as soon as he can. This was the mistake from Fan Zhengyi, as Phil says. He missed that by, well, a foot.
The red hit the cushion, not the jaw.
Thank you. 7.
So Shaun will be playing for the blue to the opposite centre.
8.
But he had more angle on the red than I think he wanted to have. So what will he play here? He could go into the pack if he wished.
The red still tied up to a large extent. Went into them with gusto. They didn't really split that well. Pink hemmed in, black remains so. I can tell you Karen Wilson potted the respotted black. 7-4 now to Moody. Oh, and not for the first time in this match. Tremendous red to middle from Murphy. Has he just caressed the yellow away far enough to be able to pop the brown ball?
It'll get there eventually. It's the slowest slow motion shot I've ever seen. I'm sure he's on the brown, isn't he? Perhaps you're right, Phil. Perhaps he isn't. Wow. How unfortunate has Shaun been there. Could have sworn he'd nudged the yellow far enough away.
Yeah, horrible that after a pot of such quality. And that was when the realisation dawned.
That keyboard definitely nudged the yellow, but the problem is, I mean, we've had a lot of play now on these tables, and it could be there's a little bit of a divot there. And the yellow might have just moved a few millimetres and then rocked back into its own divot where the spot is.
Shaun Murphy, 14.
That's all he could really do, leave awkward queuing.
I can only presume the two reds below the pink spot are not set for a plant for this right corner. Oh, Shaun's just looked at them there as he walks around the table. But he's now looking to see where he wants to leave the cue ball on the bulk cushion. Very risky to play a safety shot off this red that's against the left-hand side cushion. There's a massive chance of a double kiss. And that's why he's just coming off the top cushion once again to rest upon it. Again, though, I'd love to see a close-up of those two reds below the pink spot, because where the cue ball is, you could make those into a plant, possibly. Although looking at them and studying them, I think they're too far set up this side cushion, so that's not on.
Foul. Shaun Murphy, 4.
That would have brought the house down at the World Billiards Championship.
And because of the enough, Shaun can attempt the red to the right corner. The cue ball will return towards the bulk end. Missed it by quite a way, but just about got away with it, has he? The red would cut in, but very thin. I've got to say it again, this bedcloth seemed very slow to me.
In terms of experience, Murphy is far and away the better equipped. Not just general experience, but crucible experience. By turning up tonight, he's broken a tie for 8th place for most matches played at the Crucible.
Аптечку. Я
This is
бачу, аптечку
57th.
збігаєш на машину, на ключі. Планшет у тебе хай буде. В машину кинь планшет. Планшет в машину. А? Тихо, тихо, тихо. Будь,
Mark
сейчас.
Selby, Mark Williams, Stephen Hendry, John Higgins and Manuel Sullivan playing more here. He was tied on 56 with the 1991 champion, John Parrott. Still tied 8th in terms of most matches won here. 34 he's won, with John Parrott and Judd Trump on the same mark. And that's one of the reasons why he's been so successful. In fact, a major reason. He's potting from lengthy range, if not the best, one of the best.
Повідомляють, що на другоапаратна, Деміївська 35, невідомий чоловік, 50-60 років. Вийшов з
Швидко, набери швидко.
Thought for a moment he might take the green on, because I'm sure it would have passed the brown.
Уже викликали, я вам кажу.
Tricky, rolling up to a bulk colour when the cue ball's along the bulk line. There's a
Я
join
бачу,
of the slate
аптечку
just an inch above
збігаєш
that
на
bulk
машину, на
line.
ключі.
And
Планшет у тебе хай
sometimes
буде.
the
В машину
cue
кинь
ball just
планшет.
catch that join and
Планшет в машину.
behave rather erratically.
А? Тихо, тихо, тихо. Будь, сейчас. Уходи! Уходи!
I think if you look at the form this season, between the two players. Gives you a bit of a barometer, really, because Shaun on the 1-year points is ranked 5th in the world. Fan Zhengyi, 64th. Big disparity there between the two players. And that was a long way off again, or is it? Oh dear. It's not going well, is it, for Fan Zhengyi? He seems very, very nervous. And he keeps making unforced errors, which he can't afford to make.
One.
Just look at the easy cue power there.
Yes, it's that 8.75mm tip size that enables Shaun to be able to play that sort of shot with relative ease.
6.
Don't think the pink will pop to the left corner. Well,
7.
maybe it does. You wouldn't think so, would you? But it must go. And he can bring reds into play here. Ah, it does. It clearly goes. Look at that.
Ми зараз знаємо, як це відбувалось. Ми знаємо, що росіяни використовували 4 реактивних шахеда, тобто це була така спеціальна операція з целью, мабуть, знайти мене та ліквідувати. Тобто 2...
Foul. Shaun Murphy 14, Fan Zhengyi 6.
Well, that came out of nowhere. Looked supremely confident and in control of himself, and then a very easy ball. Budget, to be frank.
Yeah, having looked at that again, the pink was very straight, and he tried to force it in to create an angle to play for the red. He had to get that cue ball across a good few inches and perhaps tried to pinch the pocket there. Made a bit of a mess of it, but he was very lucky not to leave Fan Zhengyi an opportunity.
Yeah, Dom's absolutely right, but even so, you don't expect Murphy to foul up there.
Shaun could play a safety off the red just above the pink, but it might cannon into the two reds together below it and knock a red towards that left corner if he's not careful. So that's why he's choosing just to roll up to the reds. Well, it's not entirely safe. The red he played is possible, but difficult.
Offering no resistance at all. He's such a good potter, Fan Zhengyi. Such a quick scorer, but we've seen no evidence of that yet.
Yes, if you observe the strike of the ball there, it's more of a jab than a stroke. But these mistakes that Fan is making could be surprising Shaun, and it could just detract from his focus and concentration. And this is a great chance he's been given here.
balls as they are, it's difficult to imagine he's going to win the frame at this visit, but at least he's at the table knocking a few in.
Seven.
Now, he needs to play for the red above the black and just be high on it so he can cannon that of the red away from the black and bring it into play. So he needs a cue ball to slow down a little, and it's travelled too far. So no easy positional shot to play now for a colour.
11.
And he's got to somehow develop reds here. If he can cannon the red next to the black and hope that it cannons the two reds together next to the pink, he could bring a few into play. Oh, that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. Can he cut the red in that's finished near the corner?
16. Seventeen.
Well, the yellow would cut in to the centre pocket and he could play for the red close to the black spot from it. It's a thin cut though.
Yellow ball.
End of break, but at least he's had some fluency, if only very briefly.
Panjani, 19.
And that's one of his big problems, you know. Again, we see the fact that his safety is just quite loose. And against Shaun Murphy, who's such a wizard from distance, that is not a recipe for success.
No, absolutely not. But Shaun will have to avoid the cannon on the red on the top cushion here, which he's done. But it won't be easy to score much from here, will it, with the two reds on cushion rails?
Yellow ball. Shaun Murphy, 3.
What a perfect illustration of just how tight these pockets are. He was always getting cover, of course, with the pink, but would have loved to see that drop going towards that far jaw. Sorry, no can do.
1.
Well, that hasn't finished too badly for Fan Zhengyi. He has an angle on the blue to punch it in and develop the awkward red. Unless he's confident enough to drop in behind it and play it down the cushion. Nicely played, but this next red is tough. But if he can knock it in and win the frame from here, that red that, or that poor safety that Shaun played earlier on in the frame could be a bit of a turning point, because it's allowed Fan some confidence. And what a great pot that was. Superb.
Wasn't it just? Had to play that crisply for positional reasons.
Twelve.
1 point ahead on arrival on the colours, so he needs yellow, green, brown and blue.
14.
Should be pretty much a formality. And this was the reason why he's in this healthy position. Great red.
Seventeen. $21. 26.
Fan delighted and relieved to be off the mark.
32.
Murphy missed the penultimate red along the top cushion. Fan Zhengyi did the rest. Murphy's lead erased from a 2-0 4. If he could win this one and achieve parity at the first interval, that would be a moral victory, because at 2-0 down and for quite a segment of the third frame, he looked all at sea.
He really did, and some of the mistakes he was making must have surprised Shaun, who made a terrible blunder himself in the middle of that frame and from nowhere gave Fan an unexpected opportunity. And Fan did score a nice little run there. It was only about 20 points or something like that, but I think that really helped to settle him down, and that little break he made there to clinch victory in that third frame was excellent, particularly that red down the cushion. That was a superb pot, and I wonder if that mistake in the middle of the frame from Shaun could be a little bit of a turning point, because Fan Zhengyi looks a better player now.
Yeah, if you recall, Murphy was seemingly nicely in, and he tried to create an angle in potting the pink, missed it, and other mistakes followed. Wilson has won frame 12, so after being 7-3 down, it's now only 7-5 Moody's lead.
Mistake there from Shaun has given Fan Zhengyi a good opportunity to knock in a long red. We'll get a bit of an idea how he's feeling if he knocks this in. No problem at all. And he's controlled the cue ball very well there. And he's looking rather dangerous all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that's the thing, all of a sudden, because for 2.5 frames, he was not dangerous at all.
Now, does the black pot to the left corner? I don't think it does.
6.
But it could be brought into play at some point.
Pre-match odds for this match. Murphy was a warm order, 1-5. He could get 7-2 against Fan Zhengyi getting to the last 16. In terms of winning the title, he's a 200-1 outsider. he's one of those players who has bursts of brilliance. He's inspired when things are going well.
He doesn't really have enough angle on the blue to go into the pack of reds, but he can play for that red that's above the black into the left corner from here. And there's a little bit of a gap between the black
18.
and the red to try to get the cue ball out and back at the table.
19.
He would love to rekindle his form of the qualifiers. Had to play 3 matches to get here. And he won those 3 by an aggregate frames total of 30 wins, 4, and just 11 frames lost. That does not work.
24.
Yeah, Fan's qualifying journey was impressive.
Zhengyi.
He beat Lan Yuhao to start, pulled away from 3-3 to win 10-3, made 9 half-centuries in that match. Then he beat Jimmy Robertson 10-4, highlighted that victory with a break of 127. And then from 3-1 down, he overcame Belgium's Ben Mertens 10-4 in the final qualifying round, making 3 centuries and 5 other half-centuries. Murphy relieved to get the cover. That's on the red closest to the pocket, but he can get through to a red that would be quite risky. Well, very risky.
Oh, what's he got up his sleeve here? He's eyeing up something. He could play the long screw back if it's within his compass to play a shot like that. Not everybody's capable of that type of shot. Okay, he's going to try to hide that red near the left corner. Oh, it's looking good if the cue ball doesn't find the pocket. Is he in off? Oh, what a shame.
Shaun Murphy.
It was a well-played shot. Very unlucky to find the corner pocket there.
In without touching the sides.
One.
Okay, the red was no great difficulty, but it was beautifully controlled, the cue ball.
Six. Seven.
Well, Shaun hasn't left himself that much angle on the blue to work with, which surprised me. I thought he might leave an angle to go into the reds and the pink. That hasn't worked out. You might think that red to the left centre's easy enough. It isn't. It's tricky.
12.
Cuba will be cannoning the red to the left of it. But can he brush off it to still play for the pink or even the blue? But the red looks easy enough, doesn't it? But it requires a lot of care and attention. As does this black. Doesn't fancy the black because he can't really continue the break unless he was able to just nudge those two reds, which he obviously can't, so pointless taking the risk.
Shaun Murphy, 13.
Yes, given they've crossed cues before, Murphy is well aware of fans' strengths and weaknesses, and I think he's playing a game to that.
Shaun may decide to just bring those four reds and the pink into play and play a really good safety, but he isn't doing, and I'm a little surprised because he could have put pressure on Fan's safety shot. This time he does nudge them into play. But there's a chance of cutting the right-hand red of that little group of four into the left corner here. Now can Fan Zhengyi get through to the red to the left centre? It looks as though he can. And if he can knock the red in, he may be able to play on the blue to the opposite centre here.
Not helped by untimely applause from the other table just at the moment he pulled the cue back. The applause, by the way, was for Karen Wilson winning another frame. It's the interval over there. Stan Moody's lead is now only 7-6.
1.
Of course, Fan is no debutant. He has played here on a couple of occasions before. 2023 and 2025, losing both times to Mark Allen, 10-5 and 10-6.
8. $14. 15.
8 points the lead for Shaun. This next red, the last of the easily available reds to Shaun before the real work will begin. I wonder if that red next to the yellow pots, I think it does.
21. 22.
I wonder if he can play for the yellow here
25.
in such a way as to be able to cannon that red near bulk into the middle of the table, perhaps. Just depends on the angle that he has on this red.
$26. Just keep going, keep going.
Member of the audience watching the other match, either coming in or going, whatever, creating movement behind the pocket.
28.
Did Shaun play for that red into the yellow pocket? Does the red pass the yellow to the green pocket? Judging from Shaun's body language, I'd suggest no.
Shaun Murphy, 28.
Useful lead of 21 points for Murphy, but by no means decisive.
That was well played by Zhengyi. He's developed the two reds that were together and he hasn't left one on for a pot. And if you look at the remaining balls on the table, they're all in potable positions.
That was a gross misjudgment from Shaun Murphy. A terrible safety, and look at the table, now wide open. What a blunder.
Absolutely. One good pot here from Zhengyi. And he's knocked it in. Is he on a colour? he's going to be unlucky. Very unlucky. I don't think he'll risk the yellow. But can he drop in behind it, or can he snooker Shaun on the remaining reds? Just 20 points separating them. Exasperated expression on Fan Zhengyi, considering the yellow. Can he get the cue ball in behind the brown? What he doesn't want to do, though, is to put the yellow safe.
Yellow ball. Fan Zhengyi, 1.
That works. Well executed, well conceived.
Now again, I'll just go back to that mistake that Shaun made in the previous frame. It seems to have completely changed the course of this match for now. He's hanging on to this advantage that he has. 2-all, a distinct possibility as things are. Can Shaun come off the top cushion and just clip the red next to the black spot half ball and return the cue ball to a similar position? Because there's no easy shot for him to play here.
Always been good pals with Mark Selby, has Shaun Murphy, and Selby himself would have been proud of that one, the great escaper. That was struck on the nose. Perfectly judged.
Far too thin. But yellow and blue are snookering the red that is potable. Shaun could play the cue ball in behind green and brown here, but he's got to be careful of that red near the right corner. It could be cuttable if he's not careful.
Smattering of applause, but the cue ball didn't quite find the ball cushion. And I just fancied him to get that.
Well, that was a wonderful pot from Fan Zhengyi, beautifully executed. And I know there's a lot of pressure on his young shoulders here, but this is a golden chance to go to the mid-session interval all square.
Seven.
From here, Yellow to pink
12.
gets the job done.
$14.
I think he'd like to play that yellow again, though. He hasn't left himself the best angle here on the green.
$17.
Couldn't have played this a lot better, but this cue ball's going to have to travel some distance for good position on the blue. Big shot, this.
Zhengyi.
We had a really good view of that. He wasn't smooth through the ball, quite jabby. I've noticed that with him, with the rest, over the last couple of seasons, actually.
The wrong side of the blue, and he does need the pink, Shaun. He'll be 12 ahead if he pots the blue. Oh, this is carrying pace far too hard.
9.
What a good pot to seal the frame. You have to say, Shaun Murphy not firing on all cylinders, but how can he complain about a 3-1 lead at the interval? So they take... Welcome back, everyone. Shaun Murphy, 3-1 ahead, 5 more frames to go this evening. His target will be to build a healthy lead, maybe even a very large lead. If you're just joining us here on HBO Max for this match, well, the first 4 frames, apart from Murphy's 78 break in the second frame, it was largely scrappy. Some good pots from both. Murphy was leading 2-0. Fan pulled one back. It looked as though it might go 2 frames each, but then Fan, on the verge of drawing level, missed that brown with the rest. Murphy potted brown, blue, and a very good frame ball pink to middle.
Yeah, Shaun would be pleased to have won that 4th frame to take a 3-1 lead, because he looked pretty good in the first 2 frames, but I think Fan making so many mistakes rather surprised Shaun, and he started to make mistakes of his own. And that's a mistake, that red finishing near the right corner. Immediate chance here for Shaun.
Just skirting past the pink with the cue ball really helped matters there.
6. 7.
Murphy's got a very impressive body of work here at the Crucible Theatre. We've talked about his glory year of 2005. He's also been to the final 3 times, 2009, 2015 and most recently 2021. He's lost in a semi-final in 2007 and he's been to 4 other quarterfinals. In this match, he's pitching for what would be his 16th appearance in the last 16.
Yes, he's made 93 centuries here at the Crucible and over £1.1 million here at the Crucible. That's more than a lot of players' total career earnings. If Shaun plays into the pack of reds, I'm wondering if there's a chance of a red going into the right corner. I wonder if he looked at them.
It is 7-7 now on the other table, Karen Wilson and Stan Moody, and that was a heartbreaking loss for Moody. Wilson needed 2 snookers. Held by a free ball, he ended up winning it on the black. 7-3 down, Wilson now on level terms.
Shaun Murphy, 20.
Well, he clearly thought he could squeeze that red by the bunch. Instead, he collided into them.
And he's fortunate that red nets the black doesn't pot. Yes, I thought there were definite signs of Shaun playing very, very well, but he's just beginning to struggle a little bit and he's making mistakes, and I don't think he was expecting to.
For me, he seems a little more circumspect than normal, not playing with his usual freedom. And it seems as though, from distance, Fan has found his range.
He has a very unusual way of striking the cue ball, Fan Zhengyi. It's almost a cross between a jab and a stroke. It's not fluent. The cue tip doesn't go past the cue ball after it's struck by all that far, really. It's very abbreviated, isn't it? That final follow-through, that flourish after the cue ball has been struck. It's very different to a lot of players and certainly different to Shaun Murphy.
He's got lots of talent, and yet, going into those World Championship qualifiers, his place on tour was in jeopardy. He was 63rd in the world rankings. Now, though, provisionally, with all points included, 57th. If he wins this, 54th.
black spot is clearly occupied, but the black itself is potable. But I think it'll be quite some time before Fan Zhengyi will be in a position to bring it into play. Play that nicely though. Can play for a choice of reds here into the left-hand corner pocket. Those 4 reds near the pink spot. At least 2 of them are available. Goodness, is there room for that pink to be spotted?
80.
Really? Is that pink on the spot? I'd never believe it. And does it pot to the left centre? What a bonus that would be. It must do.
90.
He didn't get into the groove immediately, far from it, Fan. For the first couple of frames, he was really struggling.
26.
But he's definitely bedded down now.
Fan Zhengyi, very much like they pay Fan cues heavily over his left eye. The cue brushing alongside his cheek rather than it being under his chin, which is the norm.
39. 40.
He is a world champion. Originally got onto the tour in 2017 through winning the World Under-21 Championship.
$45. 46.
Already Fan's highest break of the match.
Just short of pace on this red. In potting it, he can't avoid cannoning into the red below it. Can he judge that cannon well?
53.
Not quite the follow-through on the cue ball he desired.
58.
So Fan, 38 ahead, it means he needs red colour. When I saw it going towards the near jaw, I was worried for him. But now he should be okay.
Short of pace there, though. He could still
66.
attempt to cut the red in and get the cue ball in bulk behind the green as an element of safety. Got to be very careful with that red behind the black. If Shaun gets in, he could easily lay a snooker. He only needs one, and he still only needs one.
Zhengyi, 66.
That should be end of frame.
One.
Fan, dressed in a brown suit,
3.
missed a vital brown in frame 4, but he's not missed a great amount in the 5th.
Zhengyi, 3 and a frame.
The cornerstone of his success, a break of 66. Fan, trailing by only 1 at 3-2. But in the end, gave up on the idea.
Frame 6. Zhengyi to break.
Shaun Murphy ahead, yes. Dominating, most certainly not.
And that's not a bad break-off from Zhengyi. He's left a possible red on for Shaun, but I'm wondering now, given his performance in the last few frames, how confident he is that he may knock it in.
Wasn't a bad effort, but it was always going to be slightly overcut.
Does this red cut in? Very thin, isn't it? Oh, it's a mile away. But how fortunate has he been there with the cue ball? In fact, the yellow is blocking a very possible red. But there is another one that will pop to the other corner, but it's a lot more difficult.
Well, well, well. That is normally Shaun Murphy's stock in trade. He missed that by a mile, and the Reds have gone everywhere. Fan Zhengyi, fill your boots.
Oh, if he can play for the black here, he'd be right in. There's the cannon. He's on the black. And this is what I say with Shaun. When you get opportunities, quite often, they're exceptional ones.
There I was, talking about 147s in between frames.
8.
I'm just wondering whether I inadvertently precursored this.
9.
Tell you who's excited. The spectator in seat F46, Fran Harrod. Promotion with one of the sponsors of the tournament, Midnight, means that in this first round, if there is a 147 break made, one member of the audience will receive £5,000. Fran Harrod could be in for a windfall. I know that's an early call, but I just thought I'd generate a little bit of excitement, Dom. Or at least try to.
Well, if he plays for the black from the next red, Phil, I'll give you the money myself.
Yeah, the 147 chaser. Not doing that here. It's the World Championship. Now, this was the start of Murphy's problems. 2-0 ahead. Chance in the third, and that pink wobbled. And from then on, the whole feel of the match has changed.
32.
As it has, by the way, across the arena. Kyron Wilson has hit the front for the first time. He was 7-3 down, now he's 8-7 ahead. Murphy's got stuff to think about.
$39. 40.
Has a useful angle on the black. He can do a lot with the cue ball here, but he does need to be a little bit careful. Because ordinarily you would consider playing a cannon into a red here. Incredibly, it's gone wrong. How on earth could you end up there? You can't see the red over the yellow pocket. You can't cut the red into the centre above the cue ball. The only other possible ball is an awkward cut back into the right centre, but the cue ball may well be cannoning into other reds, so incredible how he's ended up there.
Good pot, but he was trusting to luck in terms of position, and he's received no luck at all.
He's put the black safe, which I suppose with the advantage that he has isn't a bad thing. And that's about all he could have done with the cue ball there. Made sure that the red near the yellow pocket wasn't potable.
Might be a little early to start talking about Fan coming through and Murphy missing out, as we see the shot that's basically led to the end of the break. But Murphy has lost to Chinese opposition in the first round here 3 years ago. Beaten 10-9 by Zhengyi Wei. And at the moment, everything he touches doesn't turn to gold. It was all going swimmingly to 2-0, and then something changed. I'm not saying his game has fallen apart. That would be too drastic, but he's definitely struggling. And because Murphy is finding it difficult to generate his normal fluency, this match actually is being played at a slower pace than I anticipated.
Yeah, it certainly is now, that's for sure. Shaun having to have a good think about the predicament that he's in here, because I can't see an easy path back to bulk. The pink, had it been right over the corner pocket and completely blocking the pocket, he may have been able to just drop on the red near the right side cushion, but I don't think he can, because there are a couple of reds that will pop past the pink. If he extricates himself from this little bit of a knotty problem, I'll be impressed.
As Dom said, he's got to be happy with that.
Well, it certainly kept him in the frame. And given that pink and black are now both available, that 48 points advantage of Fan Zhengyi's doesn't mean too much. Should Shaun get the next opportunity? Shaun could attempt a red to the right-hand centre pocket here and run the cue ball right through to the side cushion for the black or the pink. He wouldn't leave an easy pot for Zhengyi, that's for certain, but he certainly would leave him a chance of a pot into that left corner, so he's got that to consider.
The obvious shot here is coming off the red that's on the baulk line. Fan, of course, in an ideal world would like to keep it there, but sometimes you have to play the correct shot. And after all is said and done, he does have two awkward reds, even now.
The red that's just to the right of the pink spot would cut into the right corner, but with that red and blue together there, it wouldn't be easy to play it as a shot to nothing, so had to refuse it, but look how far he's overhit this by. Does the red next to the blue pop past the yellow? Can you see enough of it past the blue to make the potting angle?
It was all a blur. A red could have gone in. The pink could have gone in.
Don't know how one of those two reds didn't go in, but he certainly left a chance here for Shaun. But there was one red there that's just finished above the black, tying it up a little. But Shaun is in. But is he on the pink? I don't think he is, but he's certainly on the blue. And he can cut the yellow in.
As he contemplates his plan of attack, I can tell you, what a transformation in fortunes on the other table. Stan Moody led 7-3 against Kyren Wilson. Now Wilson is 9-7 up.
Yeah, Stan Moody made a break of 68. Kyren needed two snookers, it looked for all the world. There's Opie 8-6, but Kyren got the snookers, got a free ball and cleared up. And it seems to have done for Stan Moody at the moment.
7.
Now, does he have an angle on this red to punch the cue ball through into the red above the black to free it? It's a sort of positional shot that Shaun would attempt.
14.
Was a little straight, so he's had to stun up for the pink for now. Won't be easy to get right back in this frame, but he can certainly erase a lot of the deficit.
Shaun Murphy, 20.
Nowhere near. As soon as he's faced with a pot that is quasi-difficult. He looks vulnerable.
Yeah, I can speak from experience here and tell you that as you get a little older, when you start to lose a bit of confidence, it can affect your game a lot more than it does when you're younger. And Shaun is 43 now. He's still a fabulous player, of course, but he is under pressure and it's showing in his play.
And while that was, again, a substandard safety from Zhengyi, it's handed Murphy a real test. A test he's flunked.
And needless to say, Zhengyi would get my words out, he'd be picking up on all this. And it'll only serve to improve his confidence. He's confident enough already.
1. Six.
Rather Churchillian scowl upon the face of Shaun Murphy there, looking very concerned.
7.
Yeah, I think right now Murphy is more upset about the way he's playing than the scoreboard. It all began so well.
30.
But Fan, not there yet.
Yellow ball.
Forced to pot the yellow, so 43 in front, 43 on.
15.
Yes, you can come around the angles here and get... Well, what I would be playing, not to give advice to anybody, but what I would like to play here is chip the red across towards the red and the black and get the cue ball in behind the green on the bulk cushion. And eventually that's what he's decided to play.
Zhengyi. 15.
The beauty of these lengthy matches is that they afford a player the time to dig himself out of a bad patch. And there's no dispute, this is a bad patch for Murphy.
judicious shot choice there from Zhengyi. He's put both reds now on cushion rails, and of course Shaun can only bring one out at a time.
Already the third frame of the match that's lasted over 20 minutes, and with these two, I think that's something of a surprise. The contest, as of yet, hasn't taken the shape I expected.
No, I agree with you. He's played a pretty good shot there, though, Shaun. It would appear that Fan is snookered on both reds. Or is he? Can he see any of this? Can't pot it, surely. Where's the yellow going? Oh, it's not going to reach.
Clever from Murphy. As you can see, Fan's path to both reds comprehensively blocked.
He'll be very happy with that outcome. Don't forget, Shaun needs 2 reds and 2 blacks and all the colours just to tie. So he wouldn't even attempt to pot on a red unless he can play for the black from it. Another good safety from Shaun, but again, Fan can chip that red towards the other red and the black and get the cue ball somewhere behind the green. Decided instead to play the red towards the yellow. And that could cause Shaun a problem. Nothing wrong with that shot choice because he's played the shot so well.
Murphy not giving up the frame without quite a fight.
Now will Shaun attempt this red, knowing that he can easily play for the black from it, but has all this safety play blunted his potting abilities, I wonder?
Under the circumstances, for me, the pot of the night so far. Now, can he force a respotted black? If he could win this frame, it might be the catalyst for much better things.
Well, it would certainly hurt Fan Zhengyi, that's for certain. Brown, possibly the only obvious difficulty. But this was the shot from Fan Zhengyi. If he gets on the pink there, snookers would have been required, but he ended up having to pop the yellow.
9.
And Shaun was still able to tie, and he still can.
Earlier this evening, Karen Wilson won a massive frame on a respotted black on the other table. Can Murphy clear the colours and force an extra ball here?
He's very straight on this yellow. He may have to play a direct screw back for the green. Not easy to judge, and he's cannon the green, and he's
18.
landed in no man's land, really. The green's potable, but he has completely the wrong angle on it to get onto the brown.
Shaun Murphy, 18.
Not the best touch. Obtained the snooker because of the kiss off the pink.
Fan Zhengyi was trying to cannon the green full ball there and leave it near the left-hand side cushion, but he misjudged it. And the green is cuttable past the black, but Shaun would need the rest, an implement that he's very good with, normally.
Frame fast approaching half an hour. And psychologically, what a big one it is.
Again, that cue ball just seemed to slab up very abruptly there. I don't think it's an easy table to play well on, if I'm really honest.
Shaun Murphy, 3.
Of course, the other thing to take into consideration here, if Murphy, having laid that snooker, can gain some penalty points, he wouldn't need a respotted black to steal it. Wow. I thought he'd fluked that brown ball. Murphy's heart must have been in his mouth.
Oh, it looked in, didn't it? But Shaun having to go up and down the table, and this cue ball needs to keep running.
4.
And it won't. He's dead straight on the blue. If anything, a fraction the wrong side, so he can't leave himself an easy pink. And because of the angle on the pink, Shaun may deliberately stun the cue ball into the black here to try and knock it on for the opposite corner, but this isn't a certainty. Oh, he was able to screw past it. Not many players could have done that.
15 reds and 6 colours, not sufficient to determine a winner in frame 6. The black is going to be replaced. It's respot time. So much hangs on this. If Murphy were to win the frame, he could well blossom and go into a big lead overnight. If Fan wins it, he will be mightily relieved. It was so close to being a Fan win on a fluke. That brown almost dipped into the middle pocket, Dom.
Amazing. Well, Fan won the coin toss. He's put Shaun into bat. And players almost invariably play that side-to-side shot from a respot. And Shaun's played it well because he always tries not to leave a double on, and he hasn't. But what about the cocked hat double? No. Good cue ball though, but wow, we know like Shaun likes to take on difficult long pots. This is right in his wheelhouse.
Well, if he knocks this in, it's an early candidate for shot of the championship. Wait for it. All that work from Shaun Murphy has just unravelled. The qualifier is all square. What a dramatic frame that lasted 34 minutes. Murphy led 2-0 and 3-1. Now, though, it's 3-3 and 3 more frames to be played tonight.
And it's he who will break off. And it's not the best break-off shot, if I'm honest. Look where the cue ball is. It's a long way off the baulk cushion.
One.
I think one of the reasons why it's been so scrappy this evening, neither player is getting a great amount of positional luck. Another example there.
Zhengyi, 1.
Don't blame Fan for playing attacking snooker. That's when he's at his best. But it really was a tough one.
Probably not quite enough angle on the blue to go into the reds. He may well play for the red behind the black spot here, Shaun. I know he's able to generate a lot of pace, but he may prefer to have just a touch more angle on the blue to go into them. He could, but he may not end up on a red. No, he played for the red behind the black spot. I thought he would. Wanted to be straighter on it to play for the black, so he may well have to go up for the blue again here. Shaun won't be happy with that. He's faced with a very testing next red to the right-hand corner pocket with no guarantee that he'll end up on the black from it.
The pace he played that at, he clearly anticipated a thicker contact on the bunch. As it was, the cue ball skimmed off them.
And look where he's left that red fill, right over the right-hand centre pocket, so it's risky now to play a safety into bulk. I mean, surely he wouldn't risk trying to drop the yellow in, would he?
Yellow ball.
Okay, the ball was close to a pocket, but that yellow was some shot. And on the other table, some comeback from Kyron Wilson has been completed. He's just won the 17th frame on the black to win the last 7 in succession. 7-3 down to prevail 10-7. Stan Moody, his dream start amounted to nothing in the end.
16. Quiet as possible, please.
So Kyron Wilson through to play Mark Allen in the last 16. The winner of this match, which is a way off, will take on Zhao Guodong in the second round. And if Fan were to win, it would mean a guaranteed Chinese semi-finalist, because all of the players in that segment of the draw hail from the People's Republic.
Shaun, it was a little unfortunate that a red cannon the black 4 ball right up to the other end of the table. It was so brave to take the yellow on, but I suppose he had to with that red that he left near the centre pocket there. So he's just 15 points ahead with the reds everywhere. Doesn't mean a lot at this stage. The pace of this match has slowed dramatically now. The average frame time over 21 minutes. It was a lot less than that an hour or so ago.
Of course, Murphy could catch a gear, lead 6-3 overnight, and all would be forgiven. But right now, he's looking somewhat susceptible, and that was another poor one.
2 possible reds on there for Fan Zhengyi. And look where the cue balls finish right in front of the yellow.
Foul. The miss.
A
Fan Zhengyi,
gasp
4.
of surprise from the audience. They should be used to it now. And a cavalcade of mistakes. He's had such a good season. He's played so well so often. I'm really surprised by how this session has gone.
Check, please.
Looks spot on the screen, Tatiana,
Looks
spot on.
really good on the screen. Okay. Fun. Thank you.
Now then, this is interesting.
Miss. Fan Zhengyi, 4.
It is indeed. If Fan Zhengyi exercises his right to have the cue ball replaced here, because Shaun can see a red full ball, see goodness knows how many reds full ball, he'll be warned by our referee, Tatiana Wollaston, that if he doesn't make contact with a red on this occasion, he'll lose a frame.
Fun. Okay. I have to give you a warning. Call a miss for a 3rd time. You lose the frame.
And there is that warning issued to Shaun. Now what does he do here? He dare not play the same shot again because it's difficult to play anyway. Can he play another red and leave the cue ball in the jaws of the left-hand corner and block off the potable red that's near the right corner? Oh, what's he got lined up here? Oh, not a lot by the look of it.
One. Six.
Black and pink. Well off their spots. That's the negative. The positive, the reds are nicely spaced.
Seven.
It's not an easy break to make this with the pink and black both out of commission. Wants his cue ball to keep running. As I say, this table is not quick.
12.
And that hasn't finished well.
It was a really good early observation from you, Dom. You've been saying that all night, and First couple of frames, I wasn't convinced you were correct, but you definitely are. Looking to see whether the black would go past the brown. That would be a real bonus. Clearly it does not. But right now, Dom, there is no argument. He's looking the better of the two.
15.
Yes, what's impressed me as well with Fan Zhengyi, he's played a couple of pretty clever safety shots when they've been required, so he does have a decent tactical knowledge, and there are certain Chinese players I could mention that certainly don't have that. And I will mention one name, Serdra Hui. He's all out attack, but he doesn't really know the game the way that a lot of the other Chinese players know the game, including Fan Zhengyi, I think.
Yeah, the aforementioned Zhengyi Wei will be playing on Wednesday against Hossein Vafai.
Sixteen.
'Always tell if Shaun's struggling a little bit when you look at his average shot time down at 26 seconds per shot. That's very laboured for him.
21. Two.
Yeah, 24 seconds a shot. Slower than normal for Fan.
Well, he'll need a really well-played positional shot here from this red. He's very straight on it, so he'll need a lot of cue power, backspin and reverse side to try to get up for the blue. Don't think he can play it with topspin, no. Doesn't really want to cannon into the red or the pink here. Oh, he's cannon the pink. Oh, it's not happy.
Quite often professional snooker players make this game look preposterously easy. This is one of those sessions where we are reminded just how difficult it can be. The ball's conspiring against both players pretty much all night. Certainly after the first couple of frames, which Murphy won handily. We've had a few near flukes tonight, Dom. That would have been a perler.
Well, it didn't look as though it was going anywhere near the pocket for a while, but it got closer and closer, didn't it, the more we looked at it. But yeah, that was the mistake, just landing too low on the red. And because the blue finished over the corner pocket there, Shaun was able to screw into the red and the pink to try and develop them, knowing he'd be on the blue. But he hasn't developed the red. That's still tied up. And he's still 20 points behind, so it would be a big ask for Shaun to try and win the frame from here. caught too much of the blue there. He wanted to clip it much thinner than that, which would have helped the cue ball come up the table further for these reds. And he's out of position here. He needs a really good pot to keep this going.
With uncomfortable cueing in the bridge hand, not where he wanted it to be, ideally. That was a really good pot.
Absolutely, but look where he's left himself on the pink. He can bring the red into play. Now the only real difficulty is the yellow, which is being masked by the black a little bit there.
13.
Murphy stole the fourth frame on the pink when he might well have lost it. This could be another very welcome steal.
Now, I wonder what colour Shaun will choose to play for here. Blue would be perfect if he can generate the pace. Oh, he's overrun it. Amazingly, he's overrun it. Goodness me, he did well to get the cue ball up there. Found Zhengyi may be able to breathe again in this frame. Shaun can roll the blue in and leave a tricky yellow. He could consider playing the pink, but I wouldn't really suggest it.
Holding the blue spot on purpose.
26.
Well, we know his capabilities with the rest. He's known as the magician, and he certainly is with this implement. But not there.
Shaun Murphy, 26.
Now, does the yellow pass the black? It must be close. He's looking hard at this. Zhengyi still wondering if the yellow will pass the black. He's having a look from the other side of the pocket. Well, that's a great angle. That yellow pots, believe me, it does. But you'd prefer the cue ball to be right behind the yellow. It's not going to be easy to get the black out of your eye line when you're attempting this. You've got to forget about the black and focus on the part of the pocket that you've got to aim the yellow towards. Didn't like it. He knew he could play a good safety in snooker, Shaun, and I think he has.
I've seen Zhengyi play a lot. Never seen him quite like this, and I think it's working well. Thinking a lot more, not just trying to pot everything.
And this is awkward because Shaun can only really see 2/3 of the yellow off the right-hand side cushion. I don't know how hard he'll play into the yellow, but he's got to be careful not to cannon into the yellow and going off somewhere. He wants to catch the yellow on the underside as we look. Oh, played that about as well as he could have done.
anywhere but there. As certain members of the crowd urge Murphy on.
Well, can he play the yellow full ball enough to be able to hold for the green, or does he have to go off the top cushion and back up towards the green? Oh, here's your answer.
2.
It's not bad, but he could have done with being a little straight on the green. He'll need to play it with the rest. Now, how does he play for the brown? Does he try and cannon into the black to hold for the brown?
He missed the yellow with the rest, but not the green. And the cannon on the black was absolutely delightful. He's 10 in front, so brown and blue will do.
Nine.
Gutsy frame this from Shaun Murphy. Lots has occurred tonight. One thing that hasn't happened, a Fan Zhengyi lead, and he's still not in front. Shaun Murphy regains the advantage at 4-3. 2 more frames to go. So while Tatiana Wollaston re-racks the balls, so having won the title in 2005, been in 3 finals and one of the semi-final, Shaun Murphy is well accustomed to being in a one-table situation at the Crucible, which this effectively is now for the next 2 frames.
Yes, I was wondering actually when the dividing wall was raised whether the difference in atmosphere could pep Shaun up a little bit and make life more difficult for Fan Zhengyi, perhaps. Bearing in mind Fan Zhengyi hasn't won a match here at the Crucible in this his 3rd appearance.
If you've just switched over, having watched the Wilson-Moody match, well, let me give you a little summation of what's occurred so far. Murphy was good in the first 2 frames, breaks of 42 and 78. He was nicely in the 3rd, but tried to force a pink in to gain a positional angle. He missed the pink. Fan won that, fell 3-1 down at the mid-session interval, but then made 66 in frame 5. He won the 6th on a respotted black, but Murphy's just regained the advantage by edging the 7th on the blue. The other story has been the length of the session between 2 very fast, fluent players. It's been a lot more sluggish than we imagined it would be. So far, 1 frame of 34 minutes. 3 others over 20 minutes.
Yeah, Shaun averaging 26 seconds per shot. That's very slow by here standards. As you can see, Shaun's highest break, indeed the highest break of the session, is one of 78, which he made in frame 2. But since then, incredibly, Shaun hasn't made a break above 30. And that's very hard to believe. out of the red nearest the blue into this right corner, but it's a risky shot to take on. The black may pot to the same pocket and the pink will pot to the right centre. But decided, because of the risk involved, to play it with pace and backspin, to play the cue ball nearer to the bulk colours. I don't think he's left Shaun with anything to go for except a very tricky red to the right corner. But Shaun normally likes this type of pot. And he's knocked it in, well played. Pots like that from Shaun have been few and far between this evening.
Yellow ball.
The red Shaun would love to play for is the one closest to the black, because then he could bring the black into play. He may still be on a red to the right corner, but I don't think he's on it the way he'd like to be.
Four.
Needs a good kiss on the blue. It could have been worse. It's possible.
Nine. Ten. $15.
Oh, wow, look at that. He get through to the red that he cannoned near the corner pocket. That's a bit of a bonus for Shaun. Didn't really have anything easy to go at without this red. Oh, and he's missed it. Did he try to pinch the pocket there, I wonder?
15.
You can't mess around with these pockets.
The black is available into the left corner, and he could play for it here if you wish, but normally I suppose he'd consider playing for the pink from this red.
One.
On the verge of winning frame 4, he missed a bad brown to the green pocket using the rest, but apart from that, when he has been playing with the rest, he's been pretty reliable.
Seven.
This is an adopted home fixture for Fan Zhengyi. Practices just down the road at the Victoria Academy, based in Sheffield, during the snooker season, which these days is at least 10 months in length.
13.
The new season will begin in mid-June, so not a lot of time for rest and recuperation. Pretty good split, Don.
Yes, I wondered whether he considered play for the red next to the pink to open that black spot area up, but that did work out pretty well. Both players have struggled to get high side of the blue, but he's managed it there okay. I think the pink will pot to the right corner, which could be very useful for Fan Zhengyi in his bid to draw level once again with Shaun Murphy.
25.
Good view there of just how left-eyed
32.
Fan is. That's his dominant eye. The cue not under the chin, more down the side of the cheek. But it works for him. Ranking event winner at the European Masters in 2022, overcoming Ronnie O'Sullivan, no less, in the final.
Can't win this frame from here without potting at least one of those awkward reds.
39. $45. 46.
Beating Murphy would be by far and away Fan's biggest scalp of the season. And at this precise moment, you can't dismiss the possibility.
51.
Shaun looked very deep in thought there, didn't he? Probably steeling himself for remaining frame of this evening's session coming up after this one, but I'm sure he'll get back to the table at some point here because there's so much to do for Fan Zhengyi to win the frame from here.
Tantalisingly, he's 43 ahead. He needs one more red.
58.
You see this shot undercut so often. But not by Fan.
59.
He's done superbly to win this frame from there. The pink that he potted previously was superb.
Brown ball.
But he still needs, ideally, to pot one more red to make absolutely certain of the frame. Does the red next to the black pot along the cushion rail? You wouldn't think that would sneak in, would you?
Fan Zhengyi, 64.
Not the highest break of the evening, but you might say the best. Very well compiled. Good match. Hitting the blue off the break, not recommended.
It's always nice to take a slender advantage overnight into the next day's final sessions, but I think from Fan Zhengyi's point of view, having lost the first two frames and looking as nervous as he was, if he were to go 5-4 behind, I don't think he'd be feeling all that bad.
Well, two players today, John Higgins and Kyron Wilson, have won their matches, having trailed after the first session. When it comes to his shot selections in this match, he's definitely been a lot more conservative than is normally the case. Fan known for taking on pot after pot. He's reined himself in tonight.
Shaun's overall pot success is at 89%, which is low for him. I don't think this match has gone quite the way he expected it to. He's having to show us other facets of his game. That's a superb safety shot. Look at the path of the cue ball. Excellent from there.
Yeah, the session has been a grind.
think that Fan will be pleased with that safety. He's given Shaun a choice of possible reds here.
After the way things have been going this evening with positional bad luck for both, just thought the blue might come to rest dead against the cushion and he might be scuppered that way, but it has bounced enough. And after a pot like that, he deserves to drop on a colour.
Six. Seven.
Normally you'd expect Shaun to score heavily here. 3 or 4 more reds, very potable before we need to consider going into the main bunch.
12. $30.
At 2-0 and 3-1 up, I think he would have been dejected to be only 5-4 ahead overnight, Murphy. Now, he'd be overjoyed.
20. $21.
The pink spot does seem to be available, but I'm not sure whether the pink will pot anywhere. Doubtful.
27.
Oh, it might pot to the right corner.
28.
Ah, that's perfect for Shaun. He can play for the remaining loose red here in such a way as to be able to pot it and go into the pack of reds and bring further reds into play. And that's just about ideal. You can never be sure of finishing on the colour, though,
35.
when you do this, but players do. They always leave themselves low in positions like this.
36.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Is Murphy going to reserve his best for last? Certainly looks that way.
$44.
As Dominic alluded to, since going 2-0 up, he'd been devoid of fluency. Hadn't made a break over 30 in the next 6 frames, but he's putting that to rights here.
$51.
He's been scoring really heavily this season. 54 century breaks. Anytime you get over 50, that's a hefty number.
$58. 59.
This frame not in keeping with the rest of the session, but just underlines what a battler Murphy is. His confidence has been eroded as the evening's gone on, and yet he can step up here and put together a contribution such as this. And the applause is because that black was frame ball.
74.
Tommy's done well here.
He really has. I mean, he's developed the reds beautifully. He's controlled all aspects of this break very well indeed. And he can begin to relax now in the knowledge that he's got this frame won, and he will take a 5-4 overnight lead.
Can he finish with a real flourish and
82.
make a century? That was the opening red. Got a good kiss on the blue, knocked it over a pocket, and
83.
it's been hey presto since. Yeah, if he makes a century, it would be the 20th in the first 3 days
89.
of this championship.
90.
It would be career century number 769 for Shaun. He's made 10 1-4-7s.
98.
Cheers from the Crucible faithful. And you can understand why.
106.
Now, if he pots the black here and clears the colours, it would be his third break of 140 or more against Fan.
$113. 115. 118.
From struggle to serene.
122.
Just before the lights go out for the night at the Crucible, the real Shaun Murphy has turned up.
127. 133.
Someone said, well played. It most certainly was. Total clearance, total class, especially in the circumstances. That was a tough session for Shaun Murphy, but he emerges from